And across the globe. As always, let me begin with the COVID cases that we're bringing for you here. An update on the toll that's now on the rise. We're looking at nearly 4,000 people who've been infected with COVID in the country as of today. As I speak, nearly 32 people have died of this virus in just the last few weeks. A lot more on that, and of course in our deep dive segment we're going to take you through the two new teams. And I say new teams, RCB and Punjab both have now come to the finals of the IPL. Really, who takes away the IPL trophy? What's the cacophony like around this story? Stay with us for more on that. And we're not going to let you go before our viral watch picture there, where we're looking at an Irish fight that turned into an almost a pitch for activism, where the Irish fighter punched down the Israeli opponent, shouting "Free Palestine." A lot more right after the headlines. Active COVID cases have now surged nearly 13 folds in India. They've crossed the 4,000 mark. In fact, 3,900 is precisely the number as we have until evening. Delhi seems to be one of the worst affected. Kerala to top that chart. The death toll has now risen to 32. Military camp in Sikkim hit by landslides after floods. 3 dead, 6 missing. Incessant rainfall hampers rescue efforts. Amid language row, Kamal Haasan moves to Karnataka High Court against the ban of his film Thug Life. He gets support from some quarters, but a lot of backlash at the same time from Kannada groups. Pahalgam attack, a grim reminder of ongoing terror threat, says National Human Rights Commission as it condemns brutal strikes. Mehbooba Mufti meets LG Sinha, urges return of Kashmiri Pandits, calls for dignified and secure rehabilitation, says political process incomplete without their return. Pakistan seeks global support for post-Operation Sindoor envoys sent to the United States. In fact, Russia and United States both have delegates from India talking about Operation Sindoor, which hasn't boded well with Pakistan. Pakistan saying there should be an impartial international probe. Russia and Ukraine hold second round of direct peace talks in Istanbul. Zelensky demands peace without rewarding Putin. Irish fighter Paddy McCorry sparks controversy, chants pro-Palestine slogans after defeating ex-IDF opponent in Cage Warriors 189. India, Sri Lanka to host 2025 Women's World Cup across 5 venues. ICC confirms matches from September 30th to November 2nd. All right, let me start with lives lost after flooding. In fact, in Assam, we're looking at rain fury that's wreaked havoc across the state. Northeast itself, by and large, has been hit heavily by rains, flash floods, landslides. Assam seems to be the worst hit. 4 lakh lives now in the crosshairs as nature's fury looks unsparing. This is, of course, the dangers that we're showing you that's coming in from parts of Northeast, which is why it makes it to the top story of tonight. Floods and landslides, cloudbursts, one after the other. The Northeast currently reeling under back-to-back climate blows. In Assam, the situation is quite grim. 10 are dead, 20 districts have been flooded, 7 major rivers, including the mighty Brahmaputra, are flowing above the danger mark. The Indian Air Force has been rushed in to rescue 14 people stranded near the Assam-Arunachal border. The worst hit is Kachar, where over 1 lakh people were marooned. Relief camps have been set up. Families of those killed in landslides in Guwahati will receive 4 lakhs in compensation. These were very sorry images that have come in right through the day. Assam Chief Minister Hemanta Biswa Sarma has promised all possible help, while Union Minister, Home Minister Amit Shah also assuring full central support. Across in Manipur, taking you through the Imphal River that's breached its banks. Nearly 4,000 in Manipur currently displaced. They have been affected, hundreds of families now in camps, their homes damaged. The army and the Assam Rifles have rescued over 800 people, including students and staff at the Jawaharlal Nehru Institute of Medical Sciences, where medical supplies and blood units had to be carried out by hand due to waterlogging. In fact, we saw schools in Imphal, East, West and Senapati that remain shut. The SDRF, NDRF are currently on round-the-clock duty. In Sikkim, to take you through. So these are northeastern states. We're bringing you one after the other. In Sikkim, we're looking at a cloud burst. Relentless rains in Sikkim that's ripped through northern parts of Sikkim. Roads and bridges have been washed away. But the most heartbreaking was a landslide that struck an Indian Army camp in Chaten, Lachen. 3 lives lost, that of Havaldar Lakhwinder Singh and Lance Naik Munish Thakur, along with porter Abhishek Lakhada. 6 others remain missing. Lieutenant General himself, Zubin Minawala, currently overseeing rescue operations on the ground there. Very tragic to see Northeast that's now grappling with a crisis that's escalating by the hour. The scale of the damage in Northeast currently is still being assessed. It's counted. But what's already visible is enough to shake the ground beneath our feet. Many, lakhs of them, I could say at this point, in parts of Northeast who are now out of their home and still uncertain whether they get to go back. Their homes aren't in place. Rescue teams are stretched. We're looking at homes submerged, roads submerged. Key infrastructure has snapped. This is certainly a humanitarian emergency in motion. Now, unfortunately, during this season, especially the rainy season, it's only going to get worse, this monsoon. COVID cases on the rise, and we know what monsoons does and what COVID does when there's monsoons. So we're looking at uptick in cases in India, as expected. A steady rise of COVID cases, nearly 3,961 active infections as I speak right now in India, with 203 fresh cases that have been added in the last 24 hours. 4 new deaths have been reported in the last 24 hours, pushing the nationwide death toll owing to COVID in 2025 at 32. Kerala leads the country here with 1,435 active cases reported, followed by Maharashtra, 506 cases reported, then Gujarat, 338 cases reported. Karnataka too has reported a fresh fatality in the last 24 hours. One person, 63-year-old man with comorbidities, unfortunately has died. This marks Karnataka's 4th death of COVID in just the last few weeks. Delhi, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra and Kerala have each reported 1 COVID death. In Delhi, a 22-year-old woman with a pre-existing lung condition has succumbed to the virus. Delhi's active cases now remains at 483. It's basically climbed in the last 24 hours. And then you have West Bengal that's also seeing a sharp rise. 44 new infections reported in the last 24 hours. In fact, they are looking at a weekly spike of over 300 cases. Several states have now issued fresh advisories asking vulnerable citizens, especially those with existing health conditions, to remain alert. We're looking at the entire medical fraternity who've already asked people to wear masks and avoid venturing out into crowded areas, especially if you're a senior citizen. A very tragic story here today. A 10-year-old girl was brutally assaulted, raped and left to die, not just by her attackers, but by the system that was meant to protect her. Bihar, the state machinery that claims to be well-oiled for women's safety and health care, but this case here exposes just how hollow that claim is. The little girl was raped and attackers ensured that she did not survive. They stabbed her after raping her in the neck, in the chest, in the abdomen. She was rushed to the hospital, the SKMC hospital. Doctors there were referred. In fact, they saw her condition and said she can't be treated here. She should be rushed to Patna Medical College Hospital instead. But when she reached the Patna Medical Hospital in a critical condition, that hospital made her wait in the ambulance for over 4 hours. They said they basically refused admission. for whatever reasons, denying bed or saying it was full. But they did not give her treatment. She had to stay inside the ambulance for nearly 4 hours. Unfortunately, that 10-year-old girl died. Just a few hours later, she died. Let's listen in.
बच्ची हमारे यहाँ से 26 तारीख के मतलब वो अपराधी उठा के ले गया 11 बजे नहीं जहाजपुर मेरे गांव से ले गया पुरानी प्रखंड से और 11 बजे ले गया उसको शाम में घुमा के बच्ची थी वो कुछ चीज के खिलाती थी उसको नाबालिग थी 9 साल की 10 साल की बच्ची थी वो कहा मौसी के मैं पहुँचा दूंगा चलो मौसी को यहाँ वो नहीं ले जाके मतलब वो ले गया इधर उधर कहीं किया शाम हुआ 3 बजा तो उसको ले गया मतलब चौर में ले गया उसको मतलब मकई के खेत में मतलब गोदी उठा के ले गया उसको गला काट दिया गला काटने के बाद कलेजा काट दिया उसके साथ दुष्कर्म किया गया 3 घंटा यहाँ वेट कर दिया हम लोग को एम्बुलेंस में भी रखे आज 4 बजे मतलब भर्ती भी लिए तो मतलब वहाँ बहुत भी देर से कोई भी चीज़ का साधन नहीं है यहाँ रात भर बच्चे को नींद की दवाई दे के रखा गया और सुबह मतलब हुई तो 8 बजे वो डेट कर गए
Absolute shame. The child was failed in every step. No security, no timely police response, no urgent medical care. Despite being referred in a critical condition to that hospital, she was made to wait outside Patna Medical College Hospital for 4 hours. By the time help came, it was clearly too late. This institutional neglect has cost a young girl's life. And worse is that through this journey in the ambulance, the family claims that they were pressured by the staff to pay up 2,000 rupees for oxygen while she was being transferred in that critical state. She needed oxygen desperately. They tried to really manipulate the family right during their time of misery. Knowing very well that this was a rape case, a rape and murder case. Well, this comes after much of the protests where politicians now being held accountable. You have opposition Congress slamming the BJP there in Bihar, claiming this double-injured Sarkar has failed. The girl has named a man. In fact, before she succumbed, we hear that she already identified and named the attacker. A man called Jayaprakash allegedly entered a neighbor's house where the girl was residing in her father's absence. He entered the house, assaulted her, raped her, and tried to kill her before he escaped. And when she was rushed to the hospital, this was the way the system treated her. The outrage is now growing. As you see, Bihar Congress there slamming the Health Minister Mangal Pandey, asking for his resignation immediately. The party says the state's healthcare and policing has completely collapsed.
घटना कुर्मी थाना क्षेत्र अंतर्गत 27 मई का है जिसमें शाम के वक्त में एक घटना हुई थी। उसमें व्यक्ति जो है पास के ही गांव में रहता था, पहले से भी जानता था, उस जगह पे आता जाता रहता, वो मछली बेचता था और उसने बहला फुसला करके बच्ची के साथ दुष्कर्म किया है। उसमें त्वरित तौर पे पुलिस ने कार्रवाई करते हुए जो एक्यूज्ड है उसको गिरफ्तार करके और उसको हम लोगों ने न्यायिक हिरासत में भेजा है। 15 दिन के अंदर में केस को चार्जशीट करेंगे, चार्जशीट करके और इसको स्पीडी ट्रायल में लाएंगे ताकि जल्दी से जल्दी इसको इस केस में जो भी सजा है न्यायालय के द्वारा दिलाने में हम लोग को आगे की कार्रवाई जो भी करनी हो कर सके।
Right now, Rahul Gandhi also stepped into this, calling the Bihar government's failure here. Tejasvi Yadav says it reflects a total breakdown of law and order in Bihar. Congress's Krishna Alavaru calling this an absolute shame, a national shame.
अभी भी मुख्यमंत्री जी ने अफसोस नहीं जताया, इस बारे में वो चर्चा नहीं करते। अब पता नहीं कि उनको पता भी है कि नहीं घटनाओं का। बिहार में लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का क्रिमिनल डिसऑर्डर हो चुका है, विधि व्यवस्था सब चौपट हो चुकी है, प्रशासनिक अराजकता पूरे बिहार में आ चुका है, लेकिन कोई कार्रवाई और सुनवाई जो है जनता की नहीं हो रही है। किसी को भी पीड़िता या पीड़ित परिवार से मिलने का इस सरकार में समय नहीं है। एक मुख्यमंत्री और दो उप मुख्यमंत्री हैं, सब लोग जो है पॉलिटिकल कार्यक्रम में व्यस्त है, चुनाव में व्यस्त है।
कहने के लिए तो सुशासन बाबू का राज है, लेकिन यहाँ पे कुशासन ज्यादा चलता है। सरकार, प्रशासन, पुलिस, मंत्री, मुख्यमंत्री बच्ची की मदद नहीं करते। 3-4 दिन तक संघर्ष बच्ची करती रही, उसका इलाज नहीं हुआ। हॉस्पिटल में भर्ती करने के लिए भी लोगों को सड़क पर उतरना पड़ा। मंत्री, मुख्यमंत्री, प्रशासन, अधिकारी, अस्पताल के डॉक्टर ने बच्ची का ख्याल नहीं रखा।
Every system has failed her, from the police to the hospital. The child bled for hours while authorities clearly looked away. Outrage isn't enough here. We're hoping this brings in consequences as well, and at the earliest. And here I'm reading out for you yet another rape case, and this time in Karnataka. A teenage girl who was raped explicitly twice over. The teenage girl's horror story of repeated sexual assault in Karnataka has once again flagged off concerns of safety for women and girls in the state. So here's what happened. A 15-year-old girl was repeatedly gang raped in Karnataka's Belagavi. This first happened in December last year and now barely a few months ago. It's come to light a little late, but it seems like the girl had to muster that much courage to speak to her family and therefore file a complaint. Now, we hear that these 6 perpetrators, the men who you see on our screens there, who have been arrested, they repeatedly assaulted the girl after videographing the first rape on her, traumatized her, blackmailed her, and got her back to become the victim. In fact, these predators recorded the entire incident of rape the first time around on their mobile phones. The 6 accused recorded it on their phone cameras individually, used that video eventually to bring her back to a vulnerable spot. Belagavi City Police Commissioner has said the assault began 6 months ago when one of the accused, known to the girl, allegedly lured her to a hilly area on the outskirts of Belagavi where the incident took place. He called her there, and then there were multiple men who arrived and raped her. Now, knowing about this, finally about hearing on this heinous crime, the family has registered an FIR at a local police station. Belagavi police has nabbed 5 out of the 6 of them. They're now looking out for the 6th accused here. But this is scary. It's a POXO case. The girl is a teenager. She's underage. And we're looking at these men there violating her repeatedly by calling her back and threatening her that they are going to release her videos. They made her a victim over and over again. Karnataka Home Minister G. Parmeshwara says this incident occurred a few months ago, but it's come out to the police only now. So we're going to do whatever we can at best at this point. Well, yes, they have arrested the 5 people out of the 6. But as one goes missing, we are worried here about women's safety at large in the state. But let's hear it from the Home Minister of Karnataka.
ಲೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಬೆಳಕಿಗೆ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಡಿಸೆಂಬರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತು ಜನವರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಘಟನೆ ಅದು ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅವರು ಯಾರು ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಕೊಡೋದಾಗ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಾಗ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ಬಂದು ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಅವರು 5 ಜನರನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಅರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮುಂದಿನ ಕ್ರಮ ಕಾನೂನಿನ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಏನು ಕ್ರಮ ತಗೋಬೇಕು ಪಾಕ್ಸೋನಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಕಮಿಷನರು ಅಥವಾ SP ತಗೊಳ್ತಾರೆ.
Clearly, we are looking at a modus operandi here. If you look closely, the predators sexually exploiting young girls, recording it on their mobile phones, and then using that same recording to blackmail the survivor. It's extremely worrying, and this seems to be a trend, not just in Karnataka, but across the country. There seems to be multiple cases that have come to light of such nature. Sexual offences where the survivor is now brought back to the same spot of vulnerability and attacked yet again, showing her those videos, claiming if she does not compromise, they're going to release that footage. Well, we need a stronger mechanism, undoubtedly. We're looking at a worrying scenario that unfolds where rapists here managing to get away with such lewd content. A case that comes to mind is, of course, the Haveri case, where 7 men accused in a gang rape. In fact, what's worrying is that these same men who are arrested are sent out on bail so quickly, and then they go on to celebrate. Like I mentioned, the Haveri case, where 7 men who were accused of gang rape were seen on bail driving past streets of Haveri, celebrating their release on bail. So this is a kind of reaction. While arrests have been made, bail has been given so quickly, these people really have no fear of the law or consequences whatsoever. Let's just hope a stricter law comes into place. And speaking of the law and order in Karnataka, we're looking at a chilling murder that's unfolded in broad daylight in Karnataka, where this video here clearly showing the murder that happened right in broad daylight at a supermarket. The entire incident caught on CCTV has sent shockwaves across the state. This gruesome killing, which took place on the weekend, has rocked Koppal district in North Karnataka. This is a footage from a local bakery in a quiet rural town of Koppal, where a man was brutally hacked to death. The victim, Chennappa Narihal, a 45-year-old local, was cornered and attacked by a gang of men with lethal weapons. You see in the CCTV footage, the man really trying hard to run from those assailants. He tries to run about within the bakery itself, escaping from them, but then he was literally dragged out of there and killed in cold blood right outside that bakery premises. Armed with machetes, ruthless and relentless, these men showed no mercy. In fact, despite Chennappa reportedly folding his hands, begging and pleading to let him go, they showed no mercy. In less than 2 minutes, they struck him down and fled. The horror was caught entirely on CCTV cameras. Clearly no fear of consequences even with this case here. Bakery's CCTV recorded how the attack took place, where he received fatal blows inside the bakery and was finally put to end, basically killed outside that shop. Authorities have arrested 7 people in case of this murder. In fact, there are claims that this could be a property or a financial dispute. Nonetheless, the fact that this happened under the nose of authorities, while you have people right around there, it's broad daylight. Ideally, there should be police presence in some corners. Just here, machetes, men walking into a bakery and killing a man right outside, brazenly. All right, taking you through some international stories. Coming in, let's give you a look at what's happening in Europe's Mount Etna, where the most active volcano has erupted spectacularly. It looked, of course, quite massive, and from a distance might even look appealing. But for those who were closer to that area were in shock. They were seen running away from that very volcanic eruption. In fact, we saw towers of plumes there. Literally, that big plume of ash over 6,000 meters into the Sicilian sky that scared those tourists that were around there who ran for life. This eruption has triggered something called the Strombolian explosion, a dangerous pyroclastic flow from the central crater, prompting a code red ash alert from the Volcanic Ash Advisory Center. Tourists were seen fleeing as tremors shook that region. Authorities report no immediate damage or evacuations, but here, of course, the tourists never expected something like this, saw, frightened, ran away, and that was captured on cameras. It looked certainly deadly and scary, but thankfully there's been no casualties. A quick look at India's MP delegations, all party leaders who are across many different countries addressing global delegates on Operation Sindoor. We have possibly the best voices who are speaking on India's interest. And one of them is Salman Khurshid, and his comments again hasn't really boded well with the Congress party. The Congress appears increasingly uneasy as its own leaders, while representing India abroad, publicly endorse the Modi government's policies, particularly on national security. The latest to stir the pot here is Salman Khurshid, senior leader of the Congress, speaking from Malaysia as part of an all-party delegation briefing global stakeholders that he spoke to on Operation Sindoor. He made 2 bold assertions. One, today we need to speak in a single voice. We need to be united as a country. And number 2, suggesting that abrogation of Article 370 was a positive step, a sharp contrast with what his own party, Congress party's stand on abrogation of Article 370 is. Let's take you through what he said.
People keep saying, what are you doing in in a delegation where there are people from the BJP. What are you doing there? Now, what are we doing here? We are doing here is what is needed for the country. No matter which party you're from, today what is needed is a single voice to speak in favor of the nation, and that's what we are doing here.
Kashmir had a major problem for a long time. Much of that was reflected in the thinking of the government in an article called 370 of the Constitution, which somehow gave an impression that it was separate from the rest of the country. But Article 370 was abrogated. It was abrogated. And it was finally put to an end because so much time has passed. Subsequently, there was an election in 65% participation in election. There's an elected government in Jammu and Kashmir today. And therefore, for people to want to undo everything that has happened, the prosperity that has come to Kashmir is something which is very unfortunate.
All right, there you have Salman Khurshid, who spoke about India being united at this point in abrogation of Article 370. And also this remark comes very closely on the heels of Shashi Tharoor, who too, while abroad, praised the centre's counter-terror efforts and backed Operation Sindoor, further deepening the ideological awkwardness for the Congress. Now, meanwhile, in Spain, DMK MP Kanimoy, also part of the parliamentary outreach, is now winning a lot of praise for her sharp response to a question in India's national language. Kanimoy said in her answer, which is now going viral, when asked about what's India's national language, her message was strong and quite a champion one. She received a lot of praise for this, and this is certainly how, and it basically showcases the kind of poise that's expected from a cross-party delegation representing India on the world stage. Let's hear it.
I think the national language of India is unity in diversity. And that is the message this delegation brings to the world. And I think that is the most important thing today. And let us continue with that.
All right, back home, political ripples are inevitable, but on the global stage, India's all-party delegates seem to be delivering exactly what's needed: unity, clarity, and national interest. All right, let me cut to Ukraine and Russia. It seems like Ukraine's deepest strike yet on Russia. Ukraine's Operation Spider's Web wasn't just a drone strike. It was a Trojan horse attack that's redrawing the rules of modern warfare. Ukraine used drones, which they smuggled into Russia. Smuggled FPV drones and wooden launch cabins that were hidden inside trucks taken into Russia. Ukraine really pulled off its most audacious mission yet against Russia, striking 5 Russian air bases up to 4,000 kilometers from the front lines. The drones took off from within Russian territory, their launch cabins remotely triggered, targeting strategic bombers with pinpoint precision. In fact, Zelensky calls this the most brilliant strike. And here's why we agree with Zelensky. When he calls this the most brilliant strike that has really changed the battle game, let me take you through why we could corroborate that. Well, yes, this is possibly the deepest strike in the war so far. Ukraine has hit air bases of Russia, thousands of kilometers inside Russia, showing no target is too deep or too secure. And number 2, aerial ambush using Trojan tactics. Drones were smuggled in disguised trucks, launched from cabins with remote opening roofs, catching Russian defenses completely off guard. And number 3, Ukraine has managed to actually hit 41 of its aircrafts in Russia, including strategic bombers, Tu-95s, and an A-50 radar jet reportedly downed, crippling Russia's long-range offensive capability. Number 4, Ukraine actually managed to pull this off after intense planning. They've actually planned this attack 18 months in advance. This covert operation that's paid off quite clearly for them. One of the most meticulously planned raids in modern military history. Ukraine has really shown how it's done. And finally, drones that really rewrite deterrence and defense models. It's not just about firepower anymore, it's mobility, disguise, timing, and now that's what is exactly reshaping the battlefield doctrine. And those are the drones used by Ukraine, which has reshaped the entire battle game. In fact, what Ukraine did is something for countries to possibly learn and to take note of. The kind of attack that they carried out on Russia, they call the most covert and on-point precision strikes against Russia, and in every way possible, looking at the pattern of the way they carried out these drone strikes, looks exactly that. Have never seen before, but Ukraine has managed to do this, hitting deeper into Russia that we've never seen before. Now, Russia, of course, Ukraine at this point, while it's attacking Russia, also asks for peace talks. They both the countries, Russia and Ukraine, are on the table to negotiate. Russia is not willing to come to an unconditional ceasefire ground, while Ukraine is pushing hard. While they attack, they still ask for peace talks. Let's take a quick look.
These videos obtained by Reuters were said to show recordings of Ukrainian drone strikes on Russian airfields in several regions, including thousands of miles away from the front lines in Siberia. Reuters was able to verify the locations of the recordings, but not the dates. Ukraine's domestic security agency, the SBU, acknowledged that it carried out the attacks, codenamed Spider's Web, and said they caused considerable damage, which it estimated at $7 billion. A Ukrainian security official said 41 planes on 4 bases were hit, which Reuters could not verify, but the Russian Defense Ministry confirmed aircraft were damaged and set on fire. It said no casualties were reported, and some of the individuals involved in the attacks were detained. On Sunday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky praised the operation.
Greetings, dear Ukrainian men and women. I just heard the report by Chief of Security Service of Ukraine, Vasyl Malyuka. A brilliant operation was conducted on the enemy's territory, exclusively against military targets, against equipment that was used to deliver strikes at Ukraine. Very tangible losses by Russia, and absolutely just losses which they deserved.
The Ukrainian security official said explosive-laden drones were hidden inside the roofs of wooden sheds, as seen in these photos shared by the Ukrainian Security Service, which Reuters could not verify. The sheds were driven near the Russian bases, and the drones were then activated remotely. Ukraine's long-range strike drones or ballistic missiles don't have the range to reach targets this far away, which required the approach used here. Zelensky said the operation had taken more than a year and a half to prepare.
All right, as I end the day tonight here, I'm going to take you through a very interesting story that really wins when it comes to medical preparedness. A rare feat of speed, science and selflessness. A live human heart was ferried 17 kilometers from Ghaziabad to Delhi in just 19 minutes, saving the life of a critically ill patient. The donor, who's a 35-year-old woman, declared brain dead after a cerebral rupture. Her family chose to donate her organs. The recipient is a 49-year-old man battling ischemic cardiomyopathy. In fact, a condition that leaves the heart too weak to pump blood. The heart left Yashoda Hospital, Ghaziabad at 11:40 a.m. By 11:59 a.m., it was inside Fortis Escorts, Okhla, all thanks to a green corridor built by Delhi and Ghaziabad traffic police. Doctors call it a textbook rescue operation. A life that was saved, family found purpose in pain, system delivered when it mattered the most. Organ donation saves lives, and this was proof on the wheels. All right, let me cut across to our big story here. Of course, for those cricketing buffs, this is certainly going to interest you. Is it going to be RCB or Punjab Knight Riders? Let me take you through the 18 seasons that both teams have really battled and bruised. They fought and they fought hard, believed hard that they will win, but they didn't. They never held the IPL trophy. But that could change tonight at the world's biggest cricket stadium. The IPL 2025 finals promises a first-time champion, either Royal Challengers Bengaluru or Punjab Super Kings. two teams with hauntingly similar histories. Finalists before, runner-ups forever, never have won. RCB's heartbreaks go back all the way to 2009, 2011 and 2016. Punjab came close in 2014 and again in 2020, but silverware slipped each time from their hands. Despite Virat Kohli being in the team, somehow RCB itself is the most popular team but never managed to actually clinch the cup. And for Punjab, for whatever reasons, they just did not come close. This year though, both sides have looked like teams on a mission. They've topped the table with identical records. 9 wins, 4 losses, 1 no result. Only decimal split their net run rates. They even beat each other once. So what's going to be the turnaround here? For RCB, is it the hunger to give Virat Kohli his long overdue crown before he actually signs off from formats one by one? For Punjab, is it the cool head of Shreyas Iyer, the quiet architect of their dream run? As two fan bases roar louder than ever, the question tonight is of course simple: who finally breaks the jinx here? Let me take you through a little more on what it could be for us as a country, which team is likely to win. We have Chander Shekhar Luthra, senior sports journalist, Venkat Sundaram, former Indian cricketer, and chairperson of the pitch committee, BCCI. Thanks very much, both of you. Let me start with the cricketing expert. Both of you are, but Venkat Sundaram, your take on who, in your view, is likely to win this IPL. A straight cut question. I'm sure there'll be your favorite there. Why don't you go for it? And then I'll ask you why.
Well, that seems to be the question on everyone's mind. Who's going to carry the cup back home? But I think if you look at it closely, these two teams are pretty well balanced. Both are slightly underrated, if you ask me. They have not won this tournament ever. But tomorrow is a great opportunity. And you can be sure that besides the 100,000 plus who will be at the ground, there will be millions watching all over the world. So there will be a lot of pressure on the players. But I think that on paper, and this game baffles everyone because when you look at it, the most favored team often doesn't win. And if you look at the venue, which is the Motera Stadium, the team that fields first usually wins. If you remember, there was a World Cup match between India and Australia. And Cummins read the pitch very well and said that, initially it plays a bit slow, but with the dew falling, etc., the pitch actually behaves better in the second innings. And if you notice with the match that was played yesterday between Mumbai Indians and the Punjab team, batting second, the ball was coming onto the bat and the batsmen were able to play more freely. So if you ask me, I think it will be a bit of a gamble, but I think to field first would make sense. Having said that, I must say that the RCB team seems to be more experienced in terms of class players who played international cricket. Besides Virat Kohli, of course, there's Mayank Agarwal, there's people like Tim David. They have a very good balanced fast bowling attack from Josh Hazelwood.
So, but in your view, what's the biggest mindset shift you've seen in RCB? What you've noticed?
Well, I think they're playing without any pressure. They're playing their game. In all the matches, they've hardly been challenged. There have been some close encounters, which is bound to happen in a T20 game. But I think overall, they've held their nerves. And tomorrow is going to be a big battle of nerves. So I think the team that holds its nerve, and especially the team that fields well, that's very important. We've seen that, under pressure, and especially with, the white ball gets very hard when there's dew. It becomes like a stone and becomes difficult to field. And besides, it also slips from the hands of the fielders. So I think fielding is going to be a crucial aspect of this game. I think it's going to be a close-fought encounter. On paper, of course, RCB looks a little better balanced. But then, there are always surprises in this type of cricket. It only takes one good innings or one good partnership to turn the match around. So I think it'll be a good contest. Having said that, I think the bowler to watch will be Josh Hazelwood and Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. They are the danger as far as the Punjab team is concerned. Punjab themselves have in Arshdeep Singh and they have also a variety because they were Chahal who can be quite a handful. and they've got Kuldeep Sen, who's also, they're slightly underrated. There are not many international players of repute in the Punjab team, but they combine well, as we saw yesterday in the match against the Mumbai Indians. So I think overall slightly in favor of RCB, but again, if they field first, I think Punjab will have a better chance.
Okay. Shekhar Luthra, your take on RCB and Punjab. Why would you say, or would you say that RCB this time has the most balanced playing 11 in 18 long years? And on Punjab's side, is Shreyas Iyer really the game changer here? Has he added that missing steel that Punjab Kings needed?
I'll not talk much about cricket. Venkat has done that. He knows cricket. I'll talk about more of other things, what happens outside the field and other things.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, this is not the most balanced side of RCB. I think that the side with AB de Villiers during that time, 4 or 5 years back, I think that was the best side. They never they never lifted it. That's fine. But right now, look at the situation here. There are two players who want to give a tight slap to their selectors. One is Shreyas Iyer for missing the tour of England, and not just missing as a batsman, but as a player who is a great thinker of the game, who is a great leader also. He has shown every time wherever he has led the team that he could be a very good captain for the future. But again, selectors don't even think that, forget about leading a side. You are not even fit to be there in the English side. Very unfortunate. Second is Virat Kohli. Virat obviously last good season as a player, but he can carry on like Dhoni has done because they own this team. Virat is the same what Dhoni means to CSK. They are all the adopted sons of their teams and adopted players. So Virat also wants to prove a point. He has not just retired. He knew what kind of situation is there with Gautam Gambhir there as chief coach, with a person who is a chief coach. He can't see eye to eye. He don't want to share that dressing room. He also wants to prove a point. So there are these two people. Maybe Virat is not the captain, but he is the leader of the team. Patidar is no one, in terms of sheer, personality. So these two players probably are going to make the difference tomorrow also. One side, Virat obviously want to go on a high. Whether he plays or not play, next year, he wants to go on a high. And Shreyas wants to make a point. The kind of batting he displayed, last night, I think one of the brilliant knocks of IPL. Till time, in 18 seasons, I think one of the best stable, mature innings that I have seen from a player.
Wow, Venkat, would you agree? Who has the edge, but in your view? Venkat, can you hear me? Venkat?
Yes, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Can you speak a little louder, please?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Give us your take on what Chander did mention, if you heard him. And also, from the point of view of Virat Kohli retiring from Test, now, a do-or-die situation for him and for the team itself, wanting to give him a parting gift. You think that will be an added motivator to kind of contribute to a better game for RCB?
Surely. Because, these big players, the big champions, they always rise to the occasion. And this is a big occasion. The IPL final is no laughing matter, as you know. And it's been a long tournament. It's had it, because of the unfortunate situation in our borders. It's been a, bit of on and off situation as well. So I think there'll be a lot riding on this match for the BCCI as well as for Virat Kohli as well as for Shreyas Iyer. I think these players have played enough cricket to understand that what is at stake. Besides the, bragging points or whatever you might call it, I think it's sheer, determination to prove that they are still up there and along with the best players in the world. So I think they will stand up and will try and be counted. It's no pushover. A final of this type is going to be thrilling. But again, I hope that it doesn't, doesn't become a one-sided affair. We want a match. We want a good game of cricket. because it will be a terrific advertisement for the sport, a sport that is followed universally. And I think it's brand India that's on display, because this is, besides say Air India, which is an Indian brand of international repute, which is now sort of making a comeback after all these years. But I think the other international brand is IPL, Indian International World Class brand is IPL. It's the richest tournament in the world, probably next to NBA or something like that, or maybe Wimbledon. So I think it is a terrific advertisement for the game of cricket, and particularly India. So I think we want a good game, or one which is exciting.
We saw 3 days of a pause. A few days of a pause during Operation Sindoor. IPL decided to pause and then start again. How would you view that?
Yes. Well, I think it is unfortunate that what's happened between the, in the interim and all that fighting and war and things. War is never, nobody wins a war, as you know. They're always bragging and this and that. But I think that stopped the game here. And, the tournament was heading towards a climax. And then this thing happened and there was a gap. But anyway, that's behind us now. So I think the players also, had a bit of an off and things, and they gelled together again. I think we're going to have a good game of cricket, and that's what everybody's looking forward to.
A final word, Chandrasekhar Luthra, on Virat Kohli's game in the IPL this time. He's really been consistent throughout, and I will constantly refer to him because he seems to be the most popular and a crowd favourite. So for Virat Kohli, it looks like he's a man on a mission, especially post his test retirement. Your view on his form the last few weeks of the IPL game?
Well, everybody judging Virat Kohli about the test scenario and asking him, or probably forcing or sending signals that you should be retiring from the red ball, cherry ball, cricket. I think that was the most unfortunate thing. Virat is probably the fittest. I'm saying probably, though I'm sure 100%, he's most fitter than anybody else, even a 20-year-old guy in the team. So why he was forced to do this, why he was actually thought about this kind of scenario, only he can tell you. But as a cricket guy who has covered it for 31 years, let me tell you, this, if he wins, I think I'll be the happiest person. Though I want Punjab. I'm more with Punjab because of Shreyas Iyer recent things. He was not picked. But again, if Virat wins, I'll be very happy because of the simple thing that he should be playing more of the test cricket. He should have retired. What Anushka said in our statement after that in a tweet, that she wanted him to retire from the white ball, from the white jersey, finally, not from this kind of cricket. But again, this is the way Indian cricket is being run. But right now, I think both, just talking about little bit of cricket, both teams are well balanced. Both teams have their good bowling, people there. Yeah. Hazelwood and then Bhuvneshwar and their, our left armer Arshdeep, and then Jamieson. I think all these players, they make a good contest. They know, like what happened yesterday, they stopped them in the last over. And the other side, Bumrah and all these people, they could not stop them in the later half. So I think that makes a very good contest. I just hope that a good cricket, we should see a good cricket. Whether it was the Operation Sindoor, whether it was, obviously a 2.5 months, tournament. But people are fed up of this kind of cricket. People have seen a lot of masala cricket. Right now, they want to see some good cricket. And hopefully tomorrow, we are going to see a good final.
I think I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you very much, both of you, for sparing your time and sharing your views with us. Happy match watching for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, let me quickly take you through the controversy that's brewing in Karnataka over Kamal Haasan's film release, The Thug Life. It seems like Kamal Haasan now facing a lot of flack after his remark during a Chennai promotional event where Kamal Haasan allegedly said Kannada is born out of Tamil. That one line has snowballed into a full-blown controversy here. The Karnataka Film Chamber of Commerce has now pulled the plug on Kamal Haasan's release. In fact, they've given 24 hours for Kamal Haasan to apologize. If not, they won't allow his film to release in Karnataka, is what they claim. Now, the Kannada Rakshana Vedike has even attempted to lay siege at a Bengaluru theatre that might release the film Thug Life. Now, the film's co-producer, Rajkumar Films International, has also moved Karnataka High Court, pleading for the film to be allowed to release in Karnataka without disruption. So basically, Kamal Haasan having to move court to release a film in Karnataka, a state that has always, for long, loved him. He's acted in many Kannada films, but here's Kamal Haasan facing the heat for saying that Kannada was born out of Tamil as a language. Thug Life is slated to release on 5th of June. Even as protests rage, Kamal Haasan, though, standing firm. He's refused to apologize. He says, I said what I said out of sheer love after speaking with language historians. This is my take on this. It's a personal comment and I'm not going to apologize. He argues, though, that the film is a collective effort of all other people involved. Why should the film suffer? In his words, in fact, this is a film that will see a collaboration between Kamal Haasan and Mani Ratnam after 38 long years. Well, a much awaited film undoubtedly, but it's not being allowed, or at least as resistance, to be released in Karnataka. Now, meanwhile, the South Indian Film Association has rallied behind Kamal Haasan. They've supported him, calling this ban against Kamal Haasan as unjust. But the larger question, of course, remains, why does the film industry so often become collateral damage in political storm? Of course, well, we can't call this political alone. It is a language sentiment. Kannadigas are very strong and staunch when it comes to their language. But has Kamal Haasan said something so harsh for his film to be entirely banned and for all the works of the entire team to be quashed? Let's bring in a film, in fact, an expert here to give us a little more on this. We have Girish Wankede, a film trade analyst. Girish, thank you very much for speaking to News9. Your quick take, Girish, this personal comment, which he says is personal, but he said it on a public platform. Can it really justify a ban on an entire film? And should Kamal Haasan apologize, in your view?
First of all, it doesn't justify that the film should be banned. Of course, during a big promotional activities of any film, stars tend to talk about their films, their promotions, and at most of the time, they also try to tackle several issues which have been questioned. So at this moment, when we are talking about Kamal Haasan's statement, it was what he has agreed upon is a purely conventional way of saying that he loves Kannada and Kannada is born out of Tamil, but it was nothing derogatory what he intended, what he aimed for. So that has to be taken positively by all the Kannada fans. That is what is the maturity. But just going against the film will actually make the entire people who are associated with the film to suffer. It is, at the end of the day, it's the business. So targeting Kamal Haasan as an individual and then he also saying that it is not his mistake, which is of course not. So we should spare this controversy and allow this film to be released. That is what my personal take is.
Okay, so you're saying that, and in your view, should there be an apology? Not for anything else, just for the fact that it has hurt people? Do you think that Kamal Haasan must apologize?
Yeah, it should be. There should be no harm in apologizing, because after all, you are the part of that film. And if the film is suffer, obviously everybody is suffering. So for the sake of that particular film, which will have a huge loss because of Kannadigas not going for the film, it is very favorable, reasonable and advisable to apologize so that everything runs smooth.
Thank you very much, Girish Wankede, for joining us. All right, and finally, our viral bot segment, the story that's now hit the internet in an act of solidarity with the people of Gaza Strip. Irish MMA fighter Paddy McCrory has shouted "Free Palestine" multiple times as he dealt blows to his Israeli opponent, Shuki Faraj. In fact, at the Cage Warriors 189 event in Rome, Italy, you saw the Irish fighter punching the Israeli opponent, and while he punches him, repeatedly says "Free Palestine." Let's hear it.
Free Palestine! McCrory addressing his fans at K-side. Big elbows from McCrory. And it's over. Big end to the tournament.
You heard the audience also echoing the same. Moving through finally, as I leave you here on Unmissable Tonight, let's take you through a very light moment where we saw a bunch of Indians erupting in song and music. There was no instrument there, but Indian tourists creating a memorable moment at the Eiffel Tower. A group of Indian tourists during their visit to Eiffel Tower in the elevator burst into this classical Hindi song, Aaja Sanam Madhur Chandni Mein, from the 1951 film Chori Chori, surprising people around them. Let's hear it.
आ जाएगी बहार, झूमने लगेगा आसमान, झूमने लगेगा आसमान, कहता है दिल और मचलता है दिल, मरे साजन ले।
Well, that was a lovely video there. Madhur Chandni Mein, well, that's the song that was chanted, took many of those around by surprise. Thanks very much. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.
Cause eggs are cool, cool, cool. Summer में energy हो जाती है कम, खाओ अंडे energetic रहो हरदम. Eggs are cool, cool, cool. Yes, eggs are.
संडे हो या मंडे, रोज खाओ अंडे. जो पहले से चल रहा है, वही लगाना था.
इनको जमाने से पीछे चलने दो. आप चुनो नया बिरला ओपस पेंट्स.